Welcome in, everybody. Let's jump right into it. So, we're all very familiar with the Matrix movies, as well as modern advancements in VR technology and things like Neuralink that I've talked about for forever. So there's lots of modern technology advancements and strides being made almost every day. But if we imagine let's say a actual interface, a human interface into a quote-unquote Matrix-style virtual reality, a question arises. Would that Matrix be better than reality? Does it supersede reality? Can the Matrix that humans will all be uploaded into the near future, I'm sure of it, can it actually be better in every way than the reality that we know? I mean, we know that everything we feel, right? Everything, all these sensations, feeling, taste, sight, sound, smell, it's all going to get shoved into this VR world, right? But is that going to be enough to replace the real world? And are there ways that maybe we could amplify the virtual reality to the point of being even more real and more meaningful than the world that birthed the virtual reality, and us for that matter? Now, could we see virtual reality as maybe just the next step in existence, the next dimensional plane to be traversed into from our current one? Maybe that's how human beings got into what we call the quote-unquote real world to begin with, by having our consciousness, is consciousness just plural for itself? I don't know. But yeah, having us cross some sort of barrier and emerge into biological, physical being through birth. Maybe that's where the idea of the soul comes from, and we have this sort of innate drive to create the next ladder rung towards the final dimension, to break into it. And maybe that final dimension is what we could call heaven. In that case, maybe the virtual world is supposed to be the next step in our evolutionary journey. And not just our organic evolution, but mental, psychological evolutions as well. Maybe even the progression and growth of our energies that cause us to live. Because you can put a heart and a brain and spine and all the organs together, run some electricity through it. It's not going to come alive, right? You can put all of the necessary things into it, but there is a spark that we can't quite identify. We aren't sure what it is that makes neurons fire in our brain, that keeps our heart going, that drives us to feel emotion, to want things, to be human, right? But maybe that's how we get a sort of collective idea of heaven and hell in the first place. Heaven being the next place we all strive to get to, and hell being where we came from. So if you think of it as like a ladder of existence, right? you never want to go backwards. Going backwards is bad. Going backwards could mean death or falling or regression. And you don't want that. You want to climb. You want to get better. You want to improve, right? So maybe hell isn't necessarily the fire and brimstone pit of darkness, but maybe that's what it is by comparison to where we are now, and especially where we could be in heaven. And I mean, these ideas, those places, they have existed in other religions well before Christianity came about. They're found in theologies all over the world amongst peoples that had no contact with each other. So maybe there is some truth to that just carved in our existence. Maybe there's some sort of inherent knowledge that's just ground into our DNA, the very essence of all humanity since the dawn of man. I mean, if we liken ourselves to machines, we could call that part of our base code, let's say. A basic part of our electronic signature that drives us to achieve a certain goal. In this case, that goal would be making it to the next plane of existence. You know, we might even could think of it as a giant hand of humanity reaching out, struggling to reach the pinnacle of this reality, so we can feel around and grab hold of a ledge that we need to pull ourselves up onto the next level. When I was coming up with this idea, I honestly didn't mean to go into this religious existentialism, but I'm talking about the Matrix. I'm talking about VR. So, let's loop back into that Matrix idea. If we can go full tilt into this, pour every bit of human ingenuity fully into creating a Matrix-style set of machines that is fully compatible with human interaction. We integrate ourselves into the system, at first kind of like a cyborg that can plug into it, or I mean, hell, that Neuralink thing is pretty damn close. And then we make more and more progression and advancements, and then we fully get to like ram a shunt in the back of our head that plugs us into the Matrix itself. And you know, maybe there we can dissect what a human being is far better than we could otherwise. Maybe we can discover a gleam into that human base code. Maybe we need to push so far forward in order to be able to look back far enough so we can see something that is currently so close and ingrained into us that it's impossible for us to see at the moment. It's the whole you can't see the forest for the trees idea, right? You need some distance from it to be able to really see it for what it is. And maybe that same concept applies here. And we need to make the artificial advance far enough to be able to see each individual quote-unquote tree of what makes us human in the first place. So, in this way, yeah, I do think that the virtual can be better than the real. Another way you could think of it is if we only ever partially integrate, like how humans do in the movies, maybe we just float in suspended animation in some embryonic sac for our whole lives. We have all of our sensations, from the most pleasurable to the most real pain and sorrowful. We have the adrenal rush from danger and excitement, and it's still thrilling in the same ways that they are in real life. Maybe we go even further. Maybe we dial up all the stuff that we really like, and we tone down what we don't. We give into just a little bit of hedonism, right? But we know what we're doing. We're conscious of it. We can retain some control of it. So it's not going to be a AI takeover. All right. So what else can we get away with integrating into the virtual world? I mean, what would be at our disposal if we had full access to it? Hundreds of thousands of terabytes of memory, perfect recall, the ability to immediately comprehend anything. I mean, the issue that we have at the moment with modern robotics is we're having a tough time getting the most advanced androids and robots to learn human emotion and empathy and movement and facial patterns and recognitions. But what if we accomplish this goal the other way around? What if we plugged a human into the robots and androids? The Matrix, the internet, cyberspace, whatever you want to call it, will have the capacity and capability to house the complexity of the human being once it's tuned to do so. I mean, maybe we upload the human consciousness. We would have to do it with as many receptors as possible to hold what the human mind can bring to the Matrix. And, then we tell the algorithms and the programs to learn, adopt, and adapt from the examples given. Now, this would have the virtual world kind of straight up grow in the same way that human beings start to in our infancy. I mean, our own learnings begin with mimicry. We have no idea what we're doing as babies. Then we start to slowly develop on our own over time. However, with all of the advanced facets and capacities for data retention, the Matrix is going to figure out really quickly the missing X factors that are inherent to humanity, and they'll adapt those factors. Right? The capacity for love and hatred and regret and being able to hold a grudge, the capacity for forgiveness. It's going to be a lot. Ingenuity, imagination. Those are things that I don't think that you can teach an android. There's not a program that you can really write that can encompass all of that. So maybe the only way for us to do it is to try to solve the problem from a reverse angle. Now, this is a terrifying concept, I know, but do you think that whatever created us had that same fear? Do you think maybe the plane of existence that we came from held the same trepidation about pushing us onto this current plane of existence? Do you think it was wary that we might royally screw up? I mean, given the past 4,000 years of recorded human history, I would say that is not an unwarranted concern. Now, in the grand scheme of things, we are a race that's barely out of our diapers. We're still incredibly young as humanity as a whole. We're barely getting a hold of our sense of morals and ethics here. I mean, we've got a hell of a long way to go. To me, human beings are so small, yet so incredibly giant. We have the ability to make so much meaning that lasts through forever with such short and seemingly meaningless lives. I mean, look at some of the biggest names throughout history. Edison and Einstein, Shakespeare and Chaucer. Right? People that built the pyramids all over the world thousands and thousands of years ago. None of them lived any longer or any better quality lives than we do in modern day. But they left the biggest footprints on the progression of human existence. I mean, maybe that is exactly what we will do with the virtual world in the Matrix. You know, that's one of the next paths of our evolution. So in that way, I don't think that the Matrix necessarily beats the real world. I think it just evolves from it as a natural occurrence. I mean, it's not the only path forward. It's not the only way to level up in the tech tree, so to speak. But it is certainly the one we're putting all of our skill points into. I mean, the virtual isn't necessarily better. It's just what is next. It is also kind of scary. I think a majority of people could kind of agree on that. Well, that is all I had time for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Stick around for more Sci-Fi Unchained. But for now, live long and prosper, my friends, and may the Force be with us all.